Over the past 15 to 20 years, social media has dominated the globe and has completely changed our lives forever. This has resulted in a lot of positive outcomes, such as access to valuable information and the ability to find online communities that speak to who you are. But at the same time, it's resulted in a lot of negativity, which has made social media more of a negative than a positive, in my humble opinion. So that's why in this video, we're going to be talking about 7 reasons why social media is cancer for the mind and why it's a good idea to lower its consumption. The first reason is the low IQ comment section. Now, a lot of the small-minded people in the world love to infect the internet with their horrible mindsets and envious energy. They do this by spending their time in comment sections hating on other people and saying things that quite honestly make no sense. They do this because they lack a self-image that they're proud of, which leads to deep insecurities. And due to these insecurities and feelings of inferiority, they can't help themselves but hate on anybody that seems to be proud of themselves or anybody that seems to be doing well in any way, shape, or form. And there are billions of people who embody this prototype. Now, don't get me wrong, all human beings have envious tendencies, including myself, but it's the immature ones who are not able to redirect that energy in a positive way and just choose to remain as a hater. Because of this, when we scroll through social media, we constantly get hit with a bunch of low IQ, unwise energy that can become a part of our thought process if we're not careful. Therefore, lowering social media consumption is a great way to make sure that we don't become susceptible to engaging in that sort of self-destructive energy. The second reason is social media's ability to destroy your confidence. So in general, social media is just a highlight reel of people's greatest moments and accomplishments. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think people should post pictures of moments and accomplishments that they're proud of. But if that's all people see, then it can make people feel like they need to accomplish major things way faster than the time it actually takes to accomplish those things. This leads to the desire to accomplish things by being lazy, impatient, and just not putting in the years of real work and sacrifice that it actually takes to achieve those things. Nobody shows the tediousness of their lives because, let's be honest, they get no social clout from it. But the reality is, it is years of tediousness that leads to the random explosive growth that people experience. If people don't see that, then they will get disappointed with themselves when they themselves are going through the tediousness of trying to build something, especially if they come from a place where chasing self-actualization isn't celebrated, right? So if you've been feeling a similar energy to this, then it might be wise to delete social media off your phone for a bit and instead just listen to interviews of truly accomplished individuals talking about what it actually took to get to where they're at. The third reason is the number of distractions that are generated through social media. So over the past couple of years, social media has really started to embrace this idea of short clips being the main way content is consumed and distributed. And in my opinion, this style of content has a much more addictive effect, which makes wasting time so much easier. According to a study, the average person spends 2.3 hours a day on social media. This is 2.3 hours a day of wasted time just, consuming brain dead content that isn't helping any of us in any way, shape, or form. Earl Nightingale once said, 1 hour per day of study in your chosen field is all it takes. 1 hour per day of study will put you at the top of your field within 3 years. Within 5 years, you'll be a national authority. And in 7 years, you can be one of the best people in the world at what you do. So imagine if we were able to find one thing that we wanted to fully dedicate ourselves to, and we were to replace the time we spent on social media with daily progress in this one thing we've selected. It's just a much better way to spend time, in my opinion. Or if you don't really care about ambition, you can use that time to grow in a way that's fulfilling to you. Social media is just a huge enemy to the idea of focus, so spending that time wisely is something that'll definitely lead to great personal growth. The fourth reason is the popularization of negativity. Controversy sells. And because we live in the era of clickbait and views, people consistently turn to negativity as a way to garner attention. Publicly humiliating random people and being rude for no reason seems to be a great formula for attention on social media. So the more of this we consume, the more we get drawn into being negative and hateful ourselves. And becoming a negative, hateful person is one of the worst things anybody could ever do to themselves for two specific reasons. Number one is that everyone will hate you. And number two, it's a sign that life has broken you. So because of this popularization of negativity and excessive rudeness, it's probably a good idea to be wary of how much of this we're consuming. The fifth reason is that you will lose your individuality and personal uniqueness. So because of all the opinions and perspectives we get bombarded with on social media, your personal uniqueness will be corrupted if you're not careful. Meaning all your opinions, your desires, creativity, your career choices, and just your overall self-expression will be curated by someone else. Now, don't get me wrong, it's great to get inspired by other people and learn from them, but too much of it can lead to you becoming someone that you're not. And what's the point of being an individual if everything you do is just a carbon copy of someone else's or just other people's self-expression, right? So taking a step back and just focusing on self-discovery is extremely important. And lowering social media use is a great first step in that direction. The sixth reason is social media's ability to give you a false perception of reality. So almost everything on social media is an illusion. From the way that people look, to the front they present, to the opinions that are being pushed, and just everything in between. Now, this is unhealthy for a couple of reasons. Number one is the human tendency to compare. And number two is the incredible pull that group thinking and social proof has on human influence. Let me explain what I mean. So constantly comparing yourself to altered realities that are designed to make you feel inferior will destroy any ability you have to remain in a grateful state. And without gratitude, you're always going to be miserable. Also, because of social media censorship, the world oftentimes gets fooled into believing that one way of thinking is honorable and another way of thinking is shameful. Because of this, when most people go out in public, they hide the way they actually think. They do this because number one, they believe that nobody else thinks like them. Number two, they believe that they shouldn't be thinking the way they're thinking. And number three, they just simply don't want to get shamed, even though their perspective is shared by most people. And when people who deep down share the same perspectives aren't being honest with each other due to possible shame, that's when you end up in a false reality. And that's how the world becomes a place where everyone just lies to each other left and right because they want to fit in. Social media is just masterful at shaming and silencing a majority perspective while celebrating and popularizing the perspective of a small minority. This kills diplomacy and does nothing but hurt us. So staying away from the social media chaos and just spending more time with yourself and more time with real people in reality is something that's not just gonna help you become more clear on who you are, but it can also help you humanize other people who may not see things the way that you do, as long as you're open to that. And the seventh reason is the murder of your attention span. So as I said earlier, social media has really started to move towards this idea of using short clips and short videos as the main way to distribute content. Now, short clips have their place, but constantly consuming them will program your mind to move on to something else, as soon as you feel the slightest bit of boredom. This will destroy your ability to focus on anything because you start to believe that every single moment of everything that you do needs to be fun or exciting. But the reality is everything gets dipped in boredom at some point. You know, from relationships to work to travel to spending time with others and so on. So expecting things to be fun or interesting all the time is just a naive thought. And social media consumption does nothing but intensify that expectation. So that's all I have for you in this video. At the end of the day, social media is a great tool and has a lot of positives. But if we aren't truly aware of its cons, it can turn us into shells of ourselves. So as long as we're aware of that and just, move accordingly, we should be fine. Now, a while back, I did make a video where I spoke about the positive benefits and results that I personally experienced when I left social media for 16 months. So if you're interested in that, I'll link that video on the end screen and you can watch it if you'd like. Besides that, thank you all so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it and I'll see you on the next one. All right, love you all. Take care.